All right, hey everybody. We're back for lesson number 21. If you're wondering why our lessons went from 17 to 21, if we were at school, there's a couple lessons that go back into Gifts from the Gods and we reread Pandora's Box, but I felt like I wanted to do more with Percy Jackson, so I left that out. And there was also a checkpoint thrown in there that we did that I'm not worried about right now. So that's just why the numbers are, and it's concerning chapters 7 and chapter 8. The themes that we're discussing are definitely spread throughout those two chapters and throughout the book as a whole. So make sure that you've read chapter 7 and chapter 8 either from your text that you've got yourself or watch the videos that have both of those with them as well. And then we'll dive right in, discussing a familiar topic of themes. So, again, we're lesson 21, chapter 7 and 8, and we are going to determine the theme in this story by using a theme strategy. And this is now probably the 5th or 6th lesson we've done on theme the last few months, and so this should sound very familiar. We know that good readers find themes because... Come here. Good readers find themes because that's why we read stories. They give us lessons about our lives that we can use and make our lives better. Sorry, I just got to type this out. Reading lesson 21. This is going to be the completed text. This is the non-completed text. We read themes, novels and books because we learn lessons about our own lives, our own people, and work to make our lives better. That's why we read stories, so being able to figure out a theme is very, very important as a good reader. And so we are going to learn write what we learned from these pages 103 to 116. Those are the regular book. It's pages 108 to 121 on the electronic book, about a topic and theme of the lightning thief, and describe a repeating pattern from the text to support your response. And as always, include details from the text. So make sure that we have information from the text to prove it. What we're going to focus on today is I think there's a bunch of different themes and topics that are in these two chapters. And so we're really going to look at these repeating patterns to help us sift through some of the choices that we have in our themes and make it so that we can see some of the things that are repeating throughout these chapters and throughout the book. And so from those repeating patterns, we can then find the topic and grow a theme from there, based on what Percy is currently experiencing. So, let's dive in with our vocabulary. First word is pavilion. Number one is pavilion, which is a building with open sides. I think we've actually had this word before. If you ever go into a picnic park where they've got a building that doesn't have any walls, that is a pavilion. If it has a roof but no walls, it's open. Usually a good place to have a nice outdoor snack. Number two, the word is plea, which is a serious call for help. It's not just like, please help. It's, oh my God, help me right now. That's a plea. Third word is desnag, which means to untangle something caught on a sharp or jagged object. Untangle is another way to say desnag, just get something uncaught from something that it's caught on. Number four, the word is excelled, did or performed better than most others. If you excelled on a test, that means you did really well on it and some other people did not. People could have excelled at sports or excelled at anything that they are better at than most other people. The number five is honorary, which means given as an honor or as an award for an achievement, but not earned in the normal way. The time that you most often hear honorary is when people are given honorary degrees from colleges. Usually in order to get a degree from college is like kind of getting a diploma after in high school, where you finish it and you get the paper that says that you finished it and you have your education. Usually you have to go through the time at school to get those. But if someone does something so incredible outside of a college or outside of a school, the school might decide, hey, we want you to have a degree from our institute, an honorary degree, even though you didn't go to our school. So honorary just means someone is getting an award even though they didn't earn it in the normal way. They earned it in some different kind of way. Number six, the word is carnage, which means the massive killing or people or of people, not or, of people or destruction. It's exactly what it sounds like. Carnage is just lots of people are dead or lots of things are destroyed. And then the last word is brazier, which is a metal container designed to hold hot coals or charcoal and used to light a room. We use lights, electric lights to light our rooms in our houses now. But back in ancient Greek times, they couldn't use electric lights. So to light big chambers, they would have these pots that kind of like a fire pit would hold a bunch of coals, so that they could just light it, and then that would make a big fire so that everyone could see. All right, now that we've covered those words, let's get our brains activated. Percy has to search for what he's good at in order to discover clues about his father. What are you good at? Does it connect at all to other members of your family or community? So yeah, right now Percy's trying at camp to figure out what he is good at and where he fits in. And so just take a few minutes to think about what you're good at, write it down. And if your particular skill connects to your family or to your community, then that'd be a great thing to write. So go ahead and pause it. Awesome, now that you're back, I've spent some time with you. You guys are everyone's good at something different. So I'm excited to read what you wrote. Let's dive in, and before we do, I'm going to do, again, this is the same lesson that we've seen a couple times at this point. I should have already brought it up, but this will be pretty fast. You guys can see. I'm actually just going to skip over this part where we talk about different kinds of themes. We know that a theme is a deeper lesson or truth about life that everyone can use all the time to improve their life. And actually just go right into our seed to theme strategy, one that we've seen quite a few times. We know basically that anytime we're trying to find a theme, we can find these big ideas, these topics, and that's what we're going to start with today and focus on, noticing repeated patterns or problems in a text. Things that we can see repeated over and over again. And when we find those ideas, then we can start to notice what a character does or how they solve their problem to grow that idea into a full theme. And so that's what we're going to do today. Really first looking at repeated patterns of problems or repeated patterns of topics that are brought up in these two chapters. And then we can take a look at what Percy thinks and what Percy does, and then grow that idea into a full-fledged theme. So that's our first question. What are the most important topics on page 103 to 116, and why do you think so? And so when we talk about these topics, we're really discussing these ideas. Sorry, this is going to bother me, so I got to fix it right now. If you guys don't realize, I do a lot of pointing and clicking to make things work for you. Anyway. The topics or ideas are things that we've mentioned before, like kindness, growing up, justice. These are some just like really, really big ideas that are shown throughout the chapters that might lead us to our theme. And before we get to this, I think we can use 2 and 3 to actually help us find these important topics. And so we're gonna skip over 1 for a moment. And we're actually gonna go to 2 and go to 3. I'm gonna have you do them both at the same time. So in these chapters, or specifically pages 103 to 116, what do people keep saying to Percy, and what does Percy keep saying, and what does he keep doing? Okay, so take a few minutes, go back into your text, scan through, find the things that he keeps saying and doing. And once we find those things, I think we can take them and then find out what the most important topics are. So pause the video, go ahead and do that on your own for a few moments. Awesome. Now that you're back, there's a couple things that I noticed that Percy keeps doing and saying, and that people keep doing and saying to Percy. So I'm going to start with actually the things that he keeps doing. Which it happens so often, I stopped just marking it and just so right here, Annabeth tells him you're going to help. Right here, Grover is telling him, Percy, you're probably a child of Hermes, or maybe even one of the minor gods, like Nemesis got revenge. Don't worry, okay? So Grover's telling about who his father might be. Here, they're talking about the gods again, who they are and who his father might be. We'll talk about that one in a second. Why couldn't my dad, whoever he was, make a phone appear? He's wondering who his father is. Right here, Luke told me I might be a child of Hermes, a kind of jack of all trades, master of none. So over and over again, he's trying to figure out who his father is. He's asking who his dad is. He also asks other people who his father was. So this is more examples. I wish I knew what God's name to say when Percy is giving up his food at dinner, and all this stuff that they're giving up. All the kids are saying the God's names, who their parents are, and he doesn't know whose his is. So he's repeatedly asking other people who their parents are. You ever met your dad? I asked. He's asking Luke. Right. So your dad is Hermes? He's asking Luke again. Right. And so over and over again, he's asking about who his dad is, asks Annabeth who her dad is. And so that's something that he's doing over and over again. He's asking who his father is, and asking his father for a signal, and asking other people who their parents are. All right, so that's what we're going to put in here. Percy keeps asking other people who their parents are, and also asking them who his father might be. He also asks his father, whoever he is, to give him a sign. So he keeps doing that. Keeps asking for a sign, keeps asking who his parents are. And so actually, before we dive into question 2, I think that is going to lead to one of the topics. One of the topics could be parents. Because Percy keeps wanting to know who his and others are. One of the important topics from these pages are parents, because Percy keeps asking about his and other people's. People's? Yeah, other people's parents. And so, again, by what he keeps doing and saying, we can find a topic that is present in these couple pages. Now, what others keep saying to Percy? A couple things. That's what I marked. They keep telling him that he's half human. Annabeth tells him over again, "Don't you get it, Percy? You are home." They basically are telling him these two kind of things. That he's home, he belongs here at camp, and that he's half human and half God. Right? So this whole conversation with Annabeth is her telling him that he's half human, half God, and that he belongs at this camp. Down here, again, we see Percy says, I don't belong here. I don't even believe in gods. And then Luke says, yeah, that's how we all started. Once you start believing in them, though. So he's saying that you'll get along there too. And it says right here, don't worry about it, Percy. The campers here, they're mostly good people. After all, we're extended family, right? We take care of each other. All right, so he's telling Percy that he's going to fit in here, that he's going to be okay. And Percy reflects that here. He says, he seemed to understand how lost I felt. And I was grateful for that, because an older guy like him, even if he was a counselor, should have steered clear of an uncool middle school like me. But Luke had welcomed me into the cabin. All right, so he's starting to feel welcome and at home at this place. Feels like he belongs. Again, here, he's remembering some things of home, of where he belongs, the smells. I didn't feel like anyone was staring at more. I felt like I was at home. This is my first day at Camp Half-Blood, and it's kind of ominous when he says, I wish I had known how briefly I would get to enjoy my new home, but he's calling it home again, so he's starting to feel accepted. He's starting to feel like he's at home. And so, and then later on down here, he says he liked camp. He's starting to feel at home there. All right. And so other people are continuing to tell him that he will belong, that he is here, that he'll find what he's good at. So other people keep telling Percy that he is a half-blood and that he belongs here at camp. They tell him that he will fit in and that he will find who his father is and what he is good at. And so using that again, feeling like you're at home, accepting or being accepted by others and accepting who you are, that is a topic of acceptance. And so that can be another topic. Another topic that is important in these chapters is acceptance. Because Percy is starting to feel accepted here at the camp, and some others are trying to help him feel like he belongs there. All right, so between what people keep saying to Percy and what Percy keeps saying and doing, we can find some of the topics in these chapters. And I think there's one more big topic that kind of tie these two things together. What does Percy want most, and what do others want for him? I think if we think about that, that'll point us to one last topic that might even be the most important topic that connects all of these things together in these chapters. So go ahead and take a few minutes to think about what Percy wants most. Go back and dive in. Use the other questions about what he keeps asking and saying to help you. Okay. Pause the video. And now that you're back, I'm just double checking to make sure that we're still on this right screen. We see it with what he asks so much and what others are telling him. He wants to know who his father is, and others want to know who his father is and want for him to figure out who his father is so that he can know where he belongs. So, more than anything, Percy wants to know who his father is so that he can know how he fits into life at camp. Some people may have said he wants most is to rescue his mother. I think that's true. But in this, I think that's true in like the long run. He wants to rescue his mother in the future. Right now, he wants to know who his father is. Other people also want him to know who his father is, so he can find what he will be good at and feel at home at camp. All right. And so Percy really wants to know who his father is so he can know what he is good at. All of these ideas, him asking who his father is, what he's good at, who he should be friends with, how he should be acting, all those are different parts of who he is. And we call that his identity. It's who he is. And so we see that through the other characters and through Percy, this topic, this idea of identity. The last important topic in these pages is identity, because throughout all of the events, Percy is trying to figure out who he is, how he should behave, and how he fits in to his new surroundings. And that's what identity is. Everyone has an identity in books, but also in real life. trying to figure out who they are, what they're good at, where they belong, how they fit into their community, into their society. That's why I asked that back in your activation, is how what you're good at connects to your community. And so this idea of identity, I think, is actually the strongest theme topic that we see throughout, because all of the other topics are connected to it. Parents, acceptance, knowing who his parents are is connected to identity. Knowing who being accepted at camp is part of his identity. And so if you feel more connected to any of those other topics, go ahead and use those for your exit ticket. But if not, identity is the one I think that we should stick to. All right, so here's your exit ticket. Write what you learned from these pages about a topic and theme of the lightning thief. Describe a repeating pattern from the text to support your response and include details from the text. And so we've discussed the topics, one being acceptance, one being identity, and one being parents. So parents, acceptance, identity. Now, you have to take these next steps, thinking about what does the character learn about themselves or the world? How does the character solve their problem or not solve a problem? What character traits does the character show? Or how does the character's perspectives or beliefs change? Use these questions to take the idea, this big idea of whatever, acceptance, identity, parents, and grow it into a theme that is a true lesson that can be used by everybody all the time in their life. Okay? And then once you do that, you use the repeating patterns that you see throughout the chapters to explain and support the response that you're showing. Okay? And include some details from the text to support it. This is going to be a little bit challenging, but I believe in you. Go ahead and pause your video, do your best on it. When you come back, I'll show you a good response, but like all theme lessons, it's certainly not the only response. All right, now that you're back, I'm pulling up my notes. So I'm going to use the theme topic of identity. Again, if you use a different theme topic, that's fine. And then I'm going to show you how I grew that into a theme. Okay. I think a theme topic from these pages of The Lightning Thief is identity. I think the theme is finding your identity is important in being comfortable in who you are. Okay. Here's why I think that. Throughout this chapter, these chapters, Percy doesn't know who his father is, right? So he's trying to figure out more about himself so he knows how he fits into the world. He feels really uncomfortable. He feels really lost. And I think if he knew who his father was and knew who he was, knew who he himself was, and had a better idea of how he belonged, he would feel more confident in himself. He would feel less alone. Okay, and so based on how he feels and what he learns about himself, that's where I found this, that finding your identity is important in being comfortable in who you are. I think if he finds who he is, he'll feel good about it. He'll feel more comfortable about who he is. Okay. This is shown in the text because Percy feels really uncomfortable at camp for a while because he doesn't know who his father is, and he doesn't know who his father is. Since he doesn't know who his father is, doesn't quite know who he himself is or how he fits in into the community of the rest of the demigods at camp. Alright, so let's find some of these details to show that he doesn't know who he is. Let's go back up here, I think, is probably the best. I think up where he's talking to Luke is probably the best one. He seemed to understand how lost I felt right there. Whoops. Percy says he seemed to understand how lost I felt. This shows that Percy, geez, man, not feeling comfortable with his identity made him feel lost and out of place at camp. When he finds out who he is, I don't like finds out, when he discovers who he is, I think he'll feel much more comfortable and accepted at his new home. All right. Did we do it? We named the theme topic, which is identity. We gave a theme, which is finding your identity is important and being comfortable with who you are. And then we gave the repeated pattern in the text, because he doesn't know who his father is. Actually, him not knowing is not the pattern, because he doesn't know his father is, so he keeps asking other people about it. That's the pattern. He keeps asking people about it. And since he doesn't know who his father is, he doesn't quite know who he himself is or how he fits into the community of the rest of the demigods of camp. We gave a detail from the text to support it, and then we explained. This is a strong response in what many of yours should look like, but again, there are so many different theme topics that are in these pages that if you picked a different one and explained it well, hats off to you. So I hope that was enjoyable. As we get further along in this text, we find out more and more about Percy, who he is, and the different ways that he fits in or doesn't fit into this community. I'm excited to go on the journey of discovery with you and hope that you can apply that to your own life as well. I'll see you soon.